Okay, we are roughly a mile or so away from the destination. I'm going to find somewhere to park and then show you how to get to it. I don't know myself. I've looked at it from maps, Google Earth, etc. It's supposed to be this old church lane. It's supposed to be easy to find, but you can't drive up there. So, well, I think you can, but it's a very tight road. So I'll find somewhere to park, show you basically the road to go up, and we'll go from there. But it is really spooky, which I'm just about to show you now, what happened literally 2 miles away from when we got here. Driving along normally, usually just sort of check the oil, etc., fluids, everything on the car. Get 2 miles within something that's supposed to be paranormal, and make of this what you will, and all of a sudden the oil light comes on. Of course, I had to pull over. I keep oil and water as fluids, etc., in the boot of the car. Topped it up, must have put about 1 litre in. So yeah, that's strange. It's as if something's trying to stop us from actually getting there. I've got within 2 miles of Clophill and the oil lights come on. Okay, it could be anything, but it just seems strange. Why now? Okay, I've parked in a street called Town Shop. Clophill is a very old village. You see, I mean, that's probably mocked, probably more modern, but made to look old. The old thatch roofs, etc. Some of them do look old. Some of the newer stuff looks out of place with places like this. But this is where I'm led to believe we're supposed to be going. Okay, what you want to look out for is these eco lodges, and look for the bin. Take a left up here. You probably could get a vehicle up here. I know there's houses to this point, but basically at the top of this hill, according to me, I don't know myself, I've only looked on maps and Googles, is where the Clophill church will sit. Let's just open that, eh? Okay, we come past the end of the houses. Start intro here. Hi everyone. This is me first time of looking at proper spooky places of, oh, so I suppose you could call it the paranormal, etc. This is, we're going to come to the top of this hill, be the famous Clophill church where satanic rituals are supposed to have taken place. As I said, we're getting away from the main public, etc. Not much else about. There might be a few dog walkers up here. Maybe there might even be other vloggers up here. It's become popular over the years. Never done it myself. Might be out of breath. It's probably because I'm out of shape, but this is a bit of an incline. This is basically what we're about to visit. Years ago they moved all the tombs or gravestones away from the church area because of people grave robbing, and a satanic ritual took place in the 1960s, I believe. So yeah, that's what we're about to see in its modern form. Obviously over the years there's been books, documentation done on this place, news reports, etc. It has a dark history, that's for sure. Recently, I don't know if you can see this news article, basically they've made a path out of the old grave stroke tombstones. Bit fuzzy. I don't know if it's going to show. Well, you're going to see it yourself soon anyway. Okay, we've been walking for about 5 or so minutes, but probably another 5 or so minutes to get there. The sheep ain't scared. I'm not scared, a little bit apprehensive. I don't know what I'm going to face, but there you go. There's nothing but a nice walk in the cold, winter time to somewhere spooky, just to freak you out a bit, but we'll see what it's got to offer. Could I imagine coming up here at night? I don't think it would bother me, to be honest with you. The only thing that I find a little bit disturbing is probably the twilight hours, etc. The crows start to chirp up and make their noises. If you got foxes in the area after something, foxes scream and it's high pitched and it's really an awful noise. And that, with the ambience of something really spooky up ahead, I don't think I'd fancy that. But with daytime. I've seen a car go up there recently, so there's probably other people up there. And let's go and see what this place is all about. If you're really into your paranormal, ghost hunting, etc., then now, I don't know how recent it's been, but they've been offering these eco lodges. You can stay overnight and basically make a couple of days of it, exploring, investigating, etc. They've actually done a really good job of that. If it weren't for the location, or I don't know, saying about the location, I probably would stay there. I have an inkling for doing these sort of weird and wonderful things, and lo and behold, there she is. Okay, let's do this. Placard depicting everything that's around here. Said that's probably when it's at its most spookiest, the 80s, between the 50s and the 80s, when it fell into disrepair. That's obviously done because you do get an element of people who will come down here and graffiti. I don't understand it, but it's the way modern people are. This is basically the area. I know there's some other sites around here that I do want to investigate. I certainly want to go to Houghton House, and there's a place called Sedgecott, which is around here somewhere, which is supposed to be, there you go, Sedgecott. That's supposed to be spooky, yet hasn't got the history that this place has got. Now I don't know if I find this bizarre, disturbing, etc. All these gravestones have been laid out as a path. I mean, it's interesting reading. Obviously someone's done that recently just to make it as an art form. Now I think instead of walking on them, because there are some myths that go with that as well, I shall walk down the side of them instead. Some of these, they're so old that the names no longer are inscribed on them. They've just faded over time. And that's pretty spooky, to be honest with you. I've heard an old legend. I mean, you can't say it's old, these are recent times, but someone said if you stepped on them, and I think it was each sixth one you stepped on it at a right sort of time, the whole lot would collapse and you'd end up in hell. But there you go, each to their own. I don't believe that for a minute. Let's go and have a look at some spooky tombs. A wall of geology. Okay, it's basically turning around saying what everything's made of around here, the earth, the sandstone, the clay, etc. Interesting. Okay, we are in an old graveyard. Be careful where I mean to tread. Some of these will be 19th, 18th, maybe even 17th century. Probably the stones that we see before, those back there, they precede that by a long way. Yeah, there are people that will find this particularly spooky. I don't believe the dead are out there to harm you. The church actually doesn't own this anymore. I don't know whether these just been left just to stand forever and a day. The church pulled out some years ago, and now it's, I don't know, it's privately, publicly owned, etc. Now, these stones over here tell their own story of why they're actually put in this position. decades ago, when we had the issue of the grave robbers, satanic rituals, etc., they decided in the best interest to move all of the tombs and the graves. They've basically dug everybody up, moved them somewhere else. I don't know whether there's a mass tribute to them somewhere, but they all would have been buried around here, slotted all over the place. They've moved them because the grave robbers and the vandals and the satanic ritualists would come in here and they'd dig them up and move them about. He's led to believe that that location there, that church, is one of the most haunted buildings in the whole of the United Kingdom, with everything that went on there. It's believed that paranormal activity is in abundance in this location, whether it be here amongst the graves or actually in the tower. Hello, squirrel up there. You're not scared at all, are you? You can gain access to that. There's specific days, etc. I think you have to make a booking and you can walk up that old tower. Could be interesting to do one day, but not today. I shall have a look in there shortly. Church itself is supposed to be circa 1350, 14th century. Yet the foundations and probably an original church that was there before it date back well before 1066 and the Norman conquest. It's known as the Church of St Mary the Virgin. Now what basically has happened is, over the years, I think the congregation got too big and they moved further down into the village itself, but there are all the stories that go with it. They've turned around and said that it was inhabited by the ghosts of a leper colony, people who died, were left in the village to die of the Black Death, etc., the plague. But that could be old wives' tales, etc. You can only come to your own conclusions on things like that, whether you believe in these sort of things or not. It certainly is a beautiful sight. And what they have done is they've rendered it. They've basically gone round, sorted out all the pointing, etc., so that it can be like a permanent monument of what originally stood here. If it was just left, the whole thing would probably collapse in on itself. I said you can get access through that door to go up the bell tower, which is up there, but obviously you need to book that in advance. I said the building itself is structurally sound. A few signs about what it was looked like. Up here, that would have been your bell tower, up there, and this would have been your way through to it. Now if you see, I don't know whether the lighting shows that well enough, the way the stairs go down, it's because it's medieval times. Now basically, if you've got stairways like that, they're built so they can be defended from the top, because most people are right-handed. If you had a sword in your hand, you're swinging down with your right hand. If you're going up, you can't, you've got the wall in your way, so they're easy to defend. This I would pretty much as imagine is graffiti, nothing more than that. However, what there is, these markings here, these date back from before there would have been windows here. There's another one there just below where a window would have sat, and what they are markings from where the church would have been blessed. Not that it done it any good. That, I don't know, was a doorway to something. Maybe, I don't know how thick the walls were. There could have been an annex on the side there maybe at one point, or maybe just a way of exiting. Beautiful looking place. He's got old wooden beams there. Actually, I don't find this spooky at all at the moment. I'll go deeper into the stories and maybe that's a bit unnerving for people. And this is what a lot of people turn around and say, is the church itself is facing the wrong way. Some have said before that compasses don't actually work in here, but clearly does. And that is supposedly facing east. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So yeah, it is the wrong way around. Spooky. Okay, now call them ghost stories, but these events are supposed to have actually happened. It's back in the 1960s. Basically, I'll show you some pictures. There's supposed to have been a satanic ritual that took place here. You can see the windows, the door frame, etc. Devil worshippers are supposed to have turned up here and tried to raise the devil. The already long deceased lady that was basically butchered around here. They obviously she wouldn't have felt it if she was gone a long time before that, but they dug her up and put her head on a spike and arranged her bones in the shape of a Maltese cross and put I think they slaughtered a chicken or a cockerel and put the blood and the feathers all over it as well. Really not pleasant stuff. Now the story that it's pretty much famous for over the decades happened, I think it was 1963. Two local youths from the Clophill village, they were found by a couple walking along. They were playing, I believe they were playing with some object, and it was found to be they were playing with a human skull in the street. Now they approached the youths and they asked them basically, what the hell are you doing? And they said they found it basically here in the church behind me. What I just turned around and mentioned about the bones laid in the shape of a Maltese cross, and that's where all your myths and your legends of your satanic rituals, devil worshippers, etc., they've been going around for decades now. Whether it was a college prank, whether it was actually more sinister, I just honestly don't know. You can only make your own conclusions on that. Now it's said that if you run round the foreground, completely round, I think it's anti-clockwise, around the church 13 times, then the devil himself will show up. One thing for sure, I will not be doing that, because if I run round the church 13 times, something will show up, because I will probably be, I'm so unfit, I'll probably lay down and die myself. So make of that what you will, with all your urban legends, etc. Maybe that's it, you're so exhausted you just keel over and die. Okay, I've got this EMF reader, EMV reader, whatever they are. One of these silly gadgets that people do ghost huntings, etc. Load of old faff as far as I'm concerned, but they believe in it. Fair play to them. But yeah, this is just a cheapo off of Amazon. They do one that's actually called a ghost detector, and basically it's a way for people to rip them off. They just write ghost on it, etc. Me, I just put a couple of Ghostbuster stickers on it. There you go. Does its job. I don't actually know what this thing's supposed to do. I think you're supposed to set it between a minimum and maximum, and if it goes above that, some make alarms. I think this one just lights up. I think the screen just lights up and tells you something is a bit abnormal, but it's for noise recording. Okay, just read up on it, and it's EMF. It's supposed to read electromagnetic fields, whatever that means. Obviously something to do with building work, but there's no harm in it. Let's have a loop around again. Seems to be plenty of moles around here. So what do you guys think? Do you find it spooky? Do you think the paranormal activity that people believe takes place here actually exists? It's certainly got final acoustics, bit of an echo, and I'm on the outside. And you see them holes up there, I said before, with the staircase and with back in medieval times with swords, etc. Now they would be ideal for someone with a longbow, or maybe later on a crossbow from medieval times, because all churches of that period were built like castles. You would have had local knights, etc. And this is where they might have found safe haven if the areas were being invaded, and that would have been easily fortified for them holes. I'm surprised how the earth is raised around here. I was expecting it to be flat, but it's not. Would I come back at night? Don't know. Probably not alone. If there was someone out there that wanted to investigate it at night, possibly team up and do it that way, but no. I think something should be left well alone. I actually find the walking up to it or around it more spooky than the actual church itself. Out of respect, I certainly will not be going in there. Basically, tilt the cap off, wish them well. There's a bit different between that and what is here in front of us. I don't even know whether the bodies are still there now, since they were all around this area and moved. But yeah, you don't mess around with war graves, those who sacrifice themselves for all of us. Okay, I shall leave here now. I've been told by friends that what you must do when you leave this place is say goodbye, so goodbye, and that stops anything from basically going home with you, which would not be pleasant. It's Clophill. Feelings about it, I don't know. It's difficult to describe unless you go there. You do get an eeriness. At one point the hairs did stand up on the back of my neck, but that could have been a gust of wind, etc. During the day as opposed to evening at night, probably two totally different spectrums. I'd imagine it could be spooky. Imagine it with a fog, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, I hope you've been entertained. I don't know if you can say you could enjoy something like this, but I hope what I've put across is welcomed by yourselves. I'm trying, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Bear in mind, I've got no intentions of making this a business, so to speak. I'm happy and content in the job I do, and this is, as much as anything else, a hobby. But what it is doing without me doing YouTube, I would not have gone to places like this. So I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for, I'm now somewhere in the region of 210 subscribers. I've jumped 100 in the last 28 days. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. I used to go along the lines of please subscribe and what have you, but it's up to people. If they enjoy what they like, they will stay around. They may come and go, and I'm just happy doing what I'm doing. So with that, it's time to say goodbye for another vlog. I'll catch you guys next time. This is Wednesday the 9th of February. Tomorrow's my birthday, the 10th of February. I'll be 51. Fantastic. What I've done is I've done the windmill today, and I've done Clophill, which you've just seen now. Tomorrow, going up the zoo around my birthday, just spend some time with the animals, just chill out a bit. Friday, we're going Gruffalo hunting. There is a forest on the way to my wife's mum and dad's, so on the way to seeing them, we're going to stop off there. There's a treetop walk, etc. That's called Selsey Forest. That's in Northamptonshire, which is about 18 miles north of us. We're in Milton Keynes. I'm currently probably about 20 miles southeast of where we live at the moment. It's a bit strange with the oil light coming on as I approach this place. It just added to the spookiness, I feel. And after that, Saturday, it's another London trek. We're going to the famous Abbey Road Studios. I mean, you can just go there for a walk around. It's got a gift shop. I think there's a coffee place there as well. But you've got the famous crossing itself, made famous by the Beatles. So I'll vlog that, how you get there from, basically what tube station to go to, the roads to get to that area. From there, we're likely to go to London Zoo, because there's some really quirky creatures, bush babies, etc., and sloths in a tropical area they've got. Plus they've got the reptile house, and they've got Komodo dragons, things like that. And recently, with this being Year of the Tiger, the Chinese Lunar New Year, they have had a baby tiger, a little male baby tiger, they've named Loki. So we might be able to see him, have a bit called in with the spiders, might be able to do that. From there, if we've managed to do that, had the time to do that, we will go on to Camden. There's a market made out of old stables. It's pretty ornamental, some good statues there, and there is a well-renowned, famous store there called Cyberdog, which is pretty much out of this world. It's like t-shirts, fluorescent stuff. It's got a rave and 80s 90s vibe to it. It's pretty cool stuff. Be worth a look. Something different. That is my niche. I've decided is to do the quirky stuff. That's why you'll see me in graveyards. You'll see me exploring some of the hidden things, hidden treasures of London, some of the things that off the beaten track, maybe some of the stories and legends and the myths, either dispelling them or actually bringing them across to you on YouTube. And yeah, because holidays in Florida are, yeah, they're once a year. This is going to be something that gets me out, keeps me entertained as well as you, and I'm certainly enjoying it, and I hope you are too. Anyway guys, I've waffled on far too much. You've probably all fallen asleep by now. I will catch you next time. Be safe, have a good one, see you in the movies. Have a good one, boys. Bye. Not this time, Satan, not this time.